Welcome to this Getting Started with InPrint 4 session. We're going to have a look at the training in two parts. Firstly, I'd like to talk about what's different from InPrint 3 and InPrint 4 for those of you that are familiar users and just want to know what's new in InPrint 4. And then secondly, we'll have a look at exploring the features of InPrint 4. So those who are new completely to InPrint and want to know how to actually get started. So let me just move on from this PowerPoint and open up InPrint 4 for you so we can have a good look. So starting InPrint 4 from my desktop, and we have a new flash screen and a new look to the program. So this is just going to have a quick overview of what's different between InPrint 3 and InPrint 4. And already, if you're familiar, you'll see a completely different home page. So we have this time on the left-hand side, new. So new is where you would go to start any form of task, whether that's using a free flow blank document or whether you're using one of our templates. The top row here is what we've called pinned templates. So these are what we feel are some of the most popular templates. So it's very quick and easy to get started. So if I want to use a blank document, I just left click once, select, and there I've got a blank document ready to put my frames in and to get going. Let's just go back to File, which again is that home page. Similarly, we've got a writing document. This one's already got a frame in. We've got a book, and then we've got the very common 2x3 flashcard, some emotions, and now a next board. So those are our pinned templates. When you've opened a template folder, you can actually pin any template to that top bar. So if you find one that you use frequently, it's worth pinning. One of the major differences between InPrint 3 and InPrint 4 is in the number of templates. So you can see here, we've got a lot more folders, and within those folders, you've got a lot more templates. Now, we understand with InPrint 4, you can make your own, but we also know as ex-teachers ourselves that time is always of the essence, and therefore something that's pre-made is easier, and then you can just adjust it if you want to. So for example, if we went into the old flashcards form templates, just one click this time, not two, you'll see that there are a lot more flashcard templates. So we had circles before, but we've included different shapes and different layouts. All, as I say, still fully editable. You'll also see that there are resources alongside with a light bulb. Now, what these are examples of how you can use those particular templates. So the team have just gone through and put in some ideas of how you can manipulate the templates, change background colors, add in photographs, change font style, change to black and white, etc. But given you ideas on how you might use those particular templates. So again, talked about time, but if you have got time to just explore some of these before you get going, that's always really helpful. To navigate my way back to those templates, I can go back to the parent folder and I can go back to that home. So let's go back home, have a look at some of the other ones. Forms and questionnaires. This is one of my favorite new sets. Lots and lots of different ways of asking young people, adults, what they feel about something via a questionnaire. Or you might use this as a basis to ascertain other points of view, quizzes, etc. And again, you've got examples in each of the light bulb sections. Lots of different activities and games. Lots of really lovely emotion scales. Some of you, if you've seen Widget online, will recognize some of these because we've tried to replicate the templates in Widget Online in InPrint 4 for you. A lovely section on colourful semantics. Again, lots of different examples there in the light bulbs. So that's one of the major differences. As I mentioned, you can pin your own templates. So if I were to go into a numbers example for template, for example, and I would really like to use the block graph, a right click on that template allows me to pin that template, and that will then go up into my top bar. Again, if I want to remove that, right click on that template, unpin, and that will take it away. The ones that Widget have chosen are fixed, so you're unable to remove those, but you can add as many different templates as you want, and your bar will just extend to the right and you'll be able to see them there. Another thing we've added for you is lots of resource packs. So again, choosing resource packs, you'll see a lot of different folders here. Now the red ones are packs. These are our most popular packs. So you've got an autism pack, a classroom pack, colourful semantics, early years dementia, etc. The yellow folders are folders of resources, and within those resources, there are different packs. So again, you can see all of the content there. So these are pre-made resources for the curriculum to support young people, to support adults, dementia sufferers in care homes, etc. Everything as with Widget all the time is fully editable. So if I was to choose the Maya, for example, I can look at the activities. I can go into any of these activities and I can amend them to suit my particular class at that particular time. We've also added some help sheets, some really useful help sheets and guides on how to use the software. So you've got basic tips for symbol content. I really recommend everybody having a look at that. Good symbolization is key to understanding. But you've also got how to style frames, how to add headers and footers, skin tones, recoloring symbols, etc. And within these help sheets, we've also added little examples and practice for you to have a go at. So you can get familiar with it by using these help sheets before you move on to actually creating your own resources. Again, to navigate home, I'm just going back to File. Slightly different on the left-hand side here. So we've already mentioned that New is different. You can go where you need to go from New. You've got your resource packs. This will tell you where the latest things that you've had open. Here you can return to the previous document. You've now got those documents that you've had open on tabs at the top. So it's all within one version of InPrint rather than creating lots of different ones down below. Slightly different in terms of where you would find print. So we're used to finding print in InPrint on 3 on the right-hand side. It now lives on the left-hand side. So if I return to the help sheet, for example, and then I want to print that, print window comes up, and then I've still got the same options, print to PDF and print as I previously had. I can also close this document very easily within this program. So again, much easier there. So we close that one and I'm left with the original one that I opened, the blank document. I'm going to go back to my file because I don't want to use that one, and we'll go back to New. So that's the interface, if you like, what looks different. Now we're going to just have a quick look at the features that are different for existing users so that you can just get a feel for what's going on in InPrint 4. So if I were to open a standard flashcard template, and again, I can do that from the flashcards, or in this instance, I can do it from the pinned one. So I'm just going to left click, one select, opens the template, familiar with that. Oh, excuse me. Everything on the right-hand side is the same. So you've got your symbol chooser if you're searching for symbols, but remember you just type and the symbols appear. And you've got your extras here in widget media, pictures and photographs. So if I type in a word, type in quiet, and tab to the next one, we'll have sad and happy. Embarrassed. Ooh, that's not how you spell embarrassed. Oh, so angry and excited. We go. So just a range of emotions there. And I've put those in for a particular reason that I'm going to explain in just a moment. So again, it looks slightly different, your interface. So in the past, you would have had your frames on the left-hand side and your tables and your line all down here. Now they form the first tab on the ribbon part of formatting. Everything else here you'll see is the same. Now, one of the new features is something that we've called Shuffle Skin Tone. Now, this has been asked for a lot, and what it allows you to do is to alter the skin tone of a document and make it random so that you've got something that is inclusive for the whole class or whole setting that you're using. We do ask you to read the help sheet on skin tone before you use some of these features, just to make sure you're using it in the best way and you're not inadvertently offending anybody by your choice of skin tone. So I'm just going to select the table, and I can do that by either right-clicking or left-clicking on the line. So if I left-click on the line, the dotted line, it becomes solid, or I can right-click and select table. Now I'm going to go to my skin tone option, and you'll see here that we have added some different options. So shuffle skin tone, let me put that on and I'll show you what happens. You can see that that's changed the skin tone of these symbols in this resource. I don't have to go in and change each one individually. Now, if for any reason I'm not happy with that, I can then advance. And what that will do is make each one stage darker till we've obviously got to the lighter one, the darkest one, and then that goes to the lightest one. So if I click advance, you can see what's happened there. And again, that will just move things through by one step of the skin tones. So that's, as I say, that's something we've been asked for a lot, but obviously it does need to be used with care. So the help sheet is there to support you in that. Again, we recommend that something has random, varied skin tones, shuffle skin tones in when the document and resource is used for an inclusive set of people. Where you're just using something for one individual, then obviously it makes sense to use their skin tone for that particular resource. We do have a new feature coming soon, not available yet, but it will come soon, which is called negative markers. What that will do is allow you to put a red line through any symbol. So you can see here, just on the right, in the quiet symbol, it's got a red line through the loud. through the speaker. What you can do when we have negative markers is put a red line through any symbol. So it's useful for things like no hitting, no running, no shouting, no cats allowed, anything that you want to negate. So whistle stop tour on the things that are different. So we'll now have a look at using InPrint 4 for beginners, if you like. So someone who's not experienced InPrint before. So if you feel you know what you're doing now that you've had a look at this one, then you can obviously leave us, but thanks for coming along. So InPrint is a desktop publishing program, and it allows you to create your own resources using our symbol set. It is very flexible. So when I have a template, and you've seen that there are lots of different templates, I can amend those even further by adding by adding rows, adding columns, merging cells, etc., changing the size of specific cells, changing the fonts, changing anything I really want to in terms of color, background, color of the symbols, etc. So it gives me a lot of flexibility. It does need to be installed on Windows machines, but once you've installed it, you've got all of the features that we're looking at. So we've had a look at templates very quickly already, and we've had a look at all the resource packs. Again, I recommend that you perhaps start in the resource pack section, having a look at the help sheets, because that will give you lots of ideas of the things that you can do. Another place you can look for help is our website. So let me just get that up for a minute. So our website, www.widget.com, and the support section. So we're now looking at InPrint 4. We have here the full manual. We have here lots of information in help sheets. You've got information about all the resource packs, information about all the new templates, and obviously this getting started webinar information as well. And please do feel free to join us on a live version at any time. But if we were to go into the help sheets, again, lots and lots of different help sheets in PDF format. You can just download them or you can view them online. So this is something that we will look at, changing the text that goes with a symbol. But here it is step by step, so you can follow through. So useful to go to the website and find that help. Right, let's head back to InPrint then. And let's go back to new and choose a template to start with. So once again, I'm just going to choose a simple one. So we'll go into Flashcards, and I'm going to choose this time a 3x2 landscape. It's just one left click each time to select, and here it is. So one of the unique things about widget software is that you don't need to go looking for a symbol to start with. You just type in a word. So I'm just going to type in cat, and that symbol will appear automatically. If I need to change that symbol, then on the right-hand side, there are different options. So if I want a different one, I can simply left click and that will select that symbol to go into that space. Moving through the cells, you can do via moving your mouse and left clicking, or you can use the tab button on the keyboard. That will move you into the next cell. We recommend this because if you press return, what happens is the cell expects more to go in it. So it makes the original entry small, giving you space to add another word. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But if it's not, then tab is the best way to move from the space to place. If you do make that mistake, don't worry, backspace will take you back, or the back arrow on top left. So I'm just going to fill in a few more here, and then we'll talk about some of these in a bit more detail. Okay. So you can see how easy it is to do this. So we're going to have a look at the symbol cat. Everything is pre-formatted. Font is as big as it can be. Symbol is as big as it can be for that particular cell size. Now, my cat is called Vanilla. So if I wanted to change the word that goes with this symbol, that's very easily done by change symbol text icon on the formatting ribbon. InPrint 4 is arranged in a very similar format to Microsoft in ribbons. So if you're used to using Word or PowerPoint, then using a ribbon basis, you should be fairly familiar with. If I hover over any icon, it will also tell me what it does as well. So this changes the text for a symbol. So if I select this, I can type in the name of my cat, Vanilla, and click OK. And that will remember that name for that symbol. It's still giving me the options of real vanilla on the right-hand side. And if I were to type cat again, my original symbol would still come up. Now, this change is available while I'm working in this session. If I want to save that for future use, and it is a good thing to do if it's the name of a person, or if it's the name of a school or a hospital, or yeah, again, the name of a pet, you can save it for future use. And we'll have a little look at that in a moment when we've made some changes. Right, I'm moving into the cell that says dog because I want to have a look at a different symbol for a dog. So in my search engine over here, I've already got two other options, but I want to look for something a bit more specific because my dog is a collie. So in the symbol chooser, I'm going to search for collie. And that symbol again will come up. So now I'm going to replace the symbol for dog with the collie, pick it up. Where it goes grey, I could drop it in. If I wanted to put it in sit or hedgehog, I could do that too. I want to put it in dog, drop it in. So this is a bit more representative of my dog. And again, I can save that for future use, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Sit, lots of different symbols for sit. So I'm going to choose the one of a young person sitting on the carpet, perhaps. Story time. But I want to change the colour of this symbol because this is not representative of school uniform in my school. So on my formatting ribbon, I can go to the artist palette, edit the symbol colours. So I don't want this mustard. So I'm going to click on the mustard colour and I'm going to change that for a royal blue. I don't want these blue trousers. I want grey. So again, I'm going to change those. And I don't want brown shoes. I want black. And okay. So this looks a little bit more now like school uniform and is possibly more representative for those who are quite literal in the setting. And moving on to the word quiet. We've already looked at skin tone a little bit in the introduction, but let me explain in a bit more detail. So using the skin tone icon on the formatting ribbon, I can choose a specific skin tone for this particular symbol. So let's go something a little bit darker for this particular symbol. I'm just going to change hedgehog for a minute and put in the word crowd so that we can see that where we have more than one person in a symbol, we do already have what we call varied skin tone, which makes this more inclusive and more representative. If I go back to skin tone, you can see that varied skin tone is switched on. So I can obviously switch that off, and I will get just one skin tone in that group. And I could change that if that's representative as well. But we like to think if they've got more than one person that we have a varied skin tone. So again, recommendation which you'll find in the help sheet on skin tones is that we have varied skin tone turned on for multiple people in a symbol, and then you choose whether it's a resource for an individual, in which case all other symbols represent their skin tone, or whether it's a resource for a group of people, in which case you would probably want to use shuffle skin tone. Right, having a look now at Mrs. Grayson. So we have here Mrs. Grayson. We have a symbol for Mrs. We don't have a symbol for Grayson. Now, I would prefer to have that symbol representing the whole of her name. And to do that, I'm going to highlight the word. I'm going to right-click on the symbol, and I'm going to set this symbol for selected text. And that will move that symbol into the middle of the word, which looks much better, much more representative. Now, I also might want to have a photograph of Mrs. Grayson rather than a symbol. And I can do that through my pictures and my image library. So pictures is linked to my pictures on the desktop. So I can select that and then go into wherever I've got pictures on my desktop. So here's Mrs. Grayson. I can select that photograph. It's on my cursor, and just like before, I can drop that in where the symbol goes grey. That will put that photograph in for Mrs. Grayson. So really easy to add in your own photographs. We just go back home here on the image library. The desktop obviously goes to your desktop, so you can pick up USB sticks or any folders you've got on your desktop. And my computer will go into your network. And the only slight disadvantage of this is that you need to know the letter representations of your different drives. Because it doesn't come up with the names. But then you can obviously go into any of your drives on the network and find the photographs that you need. So let's add another page to this resource, and then we can add in some other symbols and do some other manipulation. So to add a page, I go to my Pages ribbon. So I can add a page from the first third of the ribbon. That will add one page either before or after the existing one. So there you see we've got our first one, we've got our second one. I also have something called Manage Pages. Now, Manage Pages allows me to add multiple pages. You see a pop-up at the bottom, so I can add more than one at any one time. And it will also allow me to duplicate a page. So if I go back to this original and say, actually now I want to duplicate, so I want to have multiple of this first page, then I can have some of those as well and add those in, and you can see that's automatically been added. The other really nice thing about Manage Pages is that I can select a page and I can move it where I want to go. So if I've forgotten to put in a title page, for example, I can get a blank one and move it and put it right at the beginning there. Oops, let's try that again. There we go. And then I can make a title page. And I can do that either by manipulating the cells that are there or just using the same format. So we'll have a look at manipulating in a moment. So that's Manage Pages and adding new pages. So I'm just going to shut that down for a minute so that you can see the whole screen. And we'll go back to, here we go. Let's find a blank one. So let's add in another bit. So I'm going to add in the word hedgehog. So hedgehog, we have a symbol for hedgehog, but I might want to add in an image from the internet, or it might be that I haven't got a symbol for that particular word. So something like Pokemon, for example, the motivators, or Fireman Sam. We don't have a symbol for those copyrighted elements. But I can go to the webs as the Google Images. So I'm just opening up Google Images again. There we go. And I can search for what I want. So we search for hedgehog. Anyone that I want to use, I can right click and copy image. Then going back into InPrint 4, and on my formatting ribbon, I will have paste. So if I select paste, that image now sits on my cursor and I can drop it in the same way I did a photograph or a different symbol. Similarly, if we want to do Pokemon, let's go back to Google Images. This time we'll search for Pokemon. And we can choose again any of these. So right click, save, copy image, InPrint 4, in the cell, formatting, paste, sits on my cursor, drop him in. Now it's really important that if you do want vocabulary with an image that you're bringing in, a photograph or an internet image, that you do write the vocabulary in first. If you don't, then by just putting in a photograph, you turn the cell into what we call an image cell rather than a text and image cell. So I'm unable there, without some manipulation, to put any text in. So best to put the text in first. We'll have another quick look at a few other images that are available, and then I'll show you how you can save any changes that you've made. So again, back in our image library, widget media contains a lot of pre-drawn, more clip art type images than symbols. So slightly more detail, but still not as complex as a photograph, for example. And there are some really useful things in here. So for example, in the early language area, if we were to look at prepositions, if I type the preposition on, I get the very basic symbol. But it could be that I want something a bit more interesting to work on preposition. So I need a few more other examples. So we have a ball on a racket and a bird on a car. So it's a bit more interesting for an individual to do something on that particular preposition. We've also got some really nice number resources. That's another blank page. So you've got clocks from any 15 minutes throughout the day. You've got fractions. So you can look at fractions like those. You've got money. So you've got money coins as opposed to the symbol for money. So if I were to write a pound in here, then I get the symbol for a pound, whereas I can actually put the proper pound in from the widget media. So nice ones there. Also some good history and science, some nice seasonal things, good people. But again, it's just, and I know it's difficult, but it's just about having a little bit of time to have a proper look through, and then you can see some of the different symbols or widget media images that are available. So that's all we're going to look at in terms of different images. We have made some changes, and as I said, they are available in this session, but we do want to be able to save those so that we can use them again in the future. and that's done on the Symbols ribbon. And Save Symbol Changes. Now, there is a help sheet on this, so please don't worry, you can always go back and refer to it. So here are all the changes that I've made. And I want to put those in my user word list because my user word list is the one that's available all the time. So I'm going to select user word list and I'm going to add all and then click OK. And that means that every single one of those symbols and changes that I've made, from adding the photographs to the Google images to changing the text, will be remembered for future use. While we're on the Symbols tab ribbon, I just want to talk a little bit about what we call our restricted symbol set. So just to warn you that there are some very graphic symbols in the restricted symbol set. So if you'd rather not hear about these or see these, please just skip through the next minute or so of this video. So you find them in symbol settings and under more options. So they are restricted symbols. So these are used by specific individuals, teachers, practitioners, mental health, social workers, to support very specific topics and areas. So you can see there we've got drug and substance misuse, we've got human reproduction, which is all the sex ed resources and private parts. We've got psychiatry, which includes things around obsessions and OCD, for example, psychotic incidences. And then we've got our explicit symbols, which will describe, hopefully nobody has to deal with these, but it is real life situations, unfortunately, but sexual abuse, rape, etc. If you do want to have a look at any of these, then you just simply need to select them. And obviously, if you want to use them, then obviously you select them and click OK. But they are default off because they are obviously more graphic. So if we had a look at the human reproduction one, for example, so if we're looking at private parts, you will get, this coming up. And that can be really helpful when you're trying to deal with teaching sex education, for example. So those are the restricted symbols. And as I say, we recommend that they are default off, but obviously, depending on your situation and the work that you're doing, you will make the decision yourselves as to what's best. Okay, and you can see that they don't appear if I haven't got that symbol set turned on. So we'll just delete those for now. Okay, so let's have a look then at how we would manipulate cells. So I'm going to go back to the original ones right at the beginning. Here we go. So let's have a look at this one. So let's say I want to change the background color of some of these cells. So it might be for zones of regulation, for colorful semantics. It might be for categorization, might be everything to do with the menu, anything where you want to change colors. And that's done via the cells ribbon. And we have here line color and background color. So if I want to change the line color of this one, then I can simply click on line color, choose the one I want, how thick I would like that to be, whether I want a rounded corner or a square corner. So if we want something that's more circular, we can put in 30, for example. Whether I want a drop shadow. So manipulating the cells. If I want the background color, same thing, click on the background tab and I can change the background color to whatever I want it to be. So I've done those individually. If I want to do the same thing for the whole table, again, I can right click, select table, choose the background color, blue, and change it for everything in one go. Here I can also change what appears in my cell. So if we go into the quiet, for example, currently it's symbols and text. I could have text only. I could have symbol only. So again, I've got those options. I can rotate symbols. So just to the right of middle here, I can rotate my symbol for whatever reason. I could change the width and the height of my cells. So here we are in quiet, and I want to make the height of this symbol or this row, it will in fact adjust smaller. You can see that that's happening. Everything stays in proportion in terms of symbol and text. And again, we can make the column width narrow too. So if I've got a specific size of cell or card that I want that I need to put in some form of plastic wallet or, for example, some storage system, then I can actually make them all the right size. On my table layout, I can also change the table spacing. So towards the right-hand end of this ribbon. So I can make that spacing between each of those cells a lot smaller. And then I can drag to resize. Again, if I wanted to, I could go back and make those bigger. So lots of manipulation in terms of color and size of cell. Let's now add in a row and a column because I've made this resource and I realized that mistakenly I wanted an extra row. So I can decide where I want that to be. So I want this extra row to be in the middle. So I'm going to click on my top row. And in my table layout ribbon, I'm going to insert a row below that top one. And there you see it's gone into the middle. Now, I do need to resize this, so I can just drag to put that back into where I need it to be. Now, I've also decided that I want to merge a couple of cells here. So a shift, select a shift and a left click will choose the cells that I want to merge. They've gone shaded there, you can see. And then I can merge cells just to the right of middle on the table layout. You can see that that's merged those cells. So useful for headings or the same thing happening if I'm in a timetable, for example. I can also split cells. So I'm here on the middle right, and I can split cells here again from the ribbon at the top. And I'm going to split these ones vertically. So again, you can see the different layout that I've got. Once again, I can resize those spaces. So I haven't got those great big gaps in between. And I can then pull out to the A4 size. Lots of different options. I can then go in and color again like we did before. So we're going to go into the cells ribbon and change the background color of that particular one. So this is what makes InPrint so flexible in terms of the way that I can design a bespoke symbol if there isn't a template that's already there. Again, what we suggest is that you look through all of the templates and you find the one that closest matches what you want to do, and then you just manipulate and amend that one. So we've finished a resource and now we want to save it. So we have save at the top here with a little drop down arrow. So if I drop on the arrow, that gives me my options for saving. So first time I would save the document as, that will take me into my network. So I can save it anywhere that I want to on the network. I can also save as a PDF, so I can save the resource ready to send on to colleagues or families or anyone else that would like it. Obviously, that is not then editable. That's just a flat PDF. And once I've already saved the document in the right place, I can then just click Save every now and again as I'm going through. You've also got the option here as Save as Template. So that means if I've made some changes to my template, so I've changed the background color, I've changed the corner radius, I've changed the border, for example, I've added in some rows and merged some cells. I can save that as template for future use. So save as template. That will take me into my template folder. Suggest that you make a new folder. So I can make a new folder here. I'm going to call this Sue's Templates. And then I can save that template in Sue's Templates for future use. And it will appear on my template screen on that home page. Okay, so let's go back home then. So we go back to File and New. So this time I want to show you how you can do some what we call continuous text. So writing more of a story to help, a social story, instructions, or differentiated text. Now I've got two choices. I can either start with a completely blank document, or I could start with a writing document that has a border. If I start with the writing document with the border, it saves me one step in terms of putting a border and a frame in. But I want to show you the full process. So we will go to the blank document. Now, the thing to remember here is that InPrint is a desktop publishing program, so I cannot do anything without a frame, a border, a table. So I need to put that in first. And that's done through this formatting ribbon top left. So frame gives me different options. A styled frame is just a line around the outside that I can see when I print. A clear frame give me dotted lines on the screen, but nothing when I print. Obviously, you've got speech bubbles there as well. So if we go for a styled frame, sits on my cursor, and I can put that anywhere on the page and make it any size I want to. The size doesn't matter. So with templates, the size matters. The text that you put in the template shrinks to fit within that cell. With a frame or a new document, the frame grows as you type. So doesn't matter what size it is, it will increase as you type. So I'm just making my font a bit bigger so that I don't have to type as much. So I can type hello and return. I can type I can drink a can of drink. You'll see the automatic symbolization. You'll see that the symbolizer is smart, so it knows the difference between a noun and a verb. But as always, I've got my options on the right-hand side. Now, if I press return, you'll see that the frame grows. And it will keep on growing until I get to the end of my page. So I'm just going to press return a couple of times, and you will now see at the bottom of that page a red triangle warning. Now that says I've reached the bottom, no more text is going to fit on that page. So if I want to write any more text, I need to create a new page and put a new frame in. So we'll do that now. We go to Pages. Again, we can add a page or we can manage pages. So let's do manage pages. Just going to add one for now. So I'm going to add one page. Just want one. Okay. So now you can see I've got that first page and I've got the second page. Now I need again to put in a frame. So this time I'm going to go to frame and a clear frame. And you can see that that gives me that dot. Whoops, sorry. There we go. That gives me my dotted line, which won't show up when I print. Now, what we recommend when you're doing this is either you use the pre-made template that's got a border around it, then you don't have to worry about putting in a frame. Or if you don't want a frame, you just want the dotted line, for example, that you make the first one with the frame, and then you duplicate that through Manage Pages. So I can duplicate as many of those as I think I might need, and that will create them. So everyone now has got that frame already in it. It doesn't mean that the text will automatically move on to that next page, but it does mean when I do move on to that page, the frame's already set up for me to get typing. So that's just a quick hint and tip. So let's have a look at other things we can do. So here's my frame. Again, I'm just going to go back to formatting and make the font and text a bit bigger. So I'm using these up arrows here, which allow my font and my symbol to remain in proportion. So I'm typing in some symbols, some words, and the symbols appear automatically. I'm going to change the symbol for cold there because it's feeling a bit cold in my home office. And now I'm going to add in a table. So again, from my formatting ribbon, I can add in a table. Now I have a choice of flashcards, which have the gaps between them, or a table which doesn't have the gaps. And again, that choice is entirely up to you. I'm going to go for flashcards, and I can choose how many and what size. So we're going to have a 2x3. I'm just going to pop that in here. I'm going to just make it a bit bigger. And now if I wanted to, I could choose the different types of weather. So it might be that it's snowing, or it might be that it's raining, or that it's misty, or windy, or just cloudy. All the things that might make it cold. So I've added in some a table and some options to this layout. It could be that I want to carry on, and in this particular layout, in this particular resource, I might want to make a mind map of things that go with weather. So let's put in a mind map of weather. We don't really have a symbol for mind map, so I would probably go and have a look here and see if I could think of anything that we might have use. Let's have a look. So I think I'll have a look at brainstorm. Yep, like that. So I'm going to use the symbol for brainstorm to replace map, and then I'm going to combine mind map into that one symbol and select that for the text. So I want to put in here, in the middle, I'm just going to have one flashcard that says weather. Make that a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to put some other ones around the outside. You just copy this and paste it and paste another one and another one. And then we will draw a line between our central and our extra bits. And so on. And you can see how easy it is to develop a layout that you want to use yourself. So we've added in a table, we've added in a mind map, we've got some continuous text. Very easy to manipulate, very easy to make your own resources. So that's a very brief introduction to InPrint. I'm just going to head back to my PowerPoint for a moment. I just want to add in, don't forget about presentation export. Now, presentation export was part of our InPrint 3 subscription and is obviously now part of our InPrint 4 subscription, but it is a little used resource. Now, it's really good. It allows you to create interactive presentations and export them directly from InPrint into PowerPoint or Google Slides. As I say, you can find out more. At the moment, it still says InPrint 3 videos, but obviously it works in exactly the same way in InPrint 4 as well. And I'll show you some of the different templates for presentation export when we head back into InPrint 4 in just a second. And then just final slide to remind you that if you need any help at all, you can find us at info@widget.com. Okay, let's go back then and have a quick look at those presentations. So back in File and back in Resource Packs, you can see here, element OP. There we go, right at the top here, not in alphabetical order, because it's an important one at the top. Presentations. So this gives you some examples of pre-made presentations that you can then obviously export directly and use, or you can amend slightly so that they fit exactly what you're doing. So here we go. For example, we've got initial letters for sea creatures. So this is a PowerPoint export. What it does is allow you the option to choose whether the initial letter. So if I choose my C, if I just click on this for the moment, you'll see that there's a link here that goes to slide 15, and slide 15 will say, no, sorry, try again. Whereas if I go to this one, the correct one, it will move me on to the next slide, which in this instance says, yes, that's correct. And when that's exported into PowerPoint, obviously you've got that full interaction. Now, the video that I've mentioned on the previous PowerPoint slide will take you to a video on how to use PowerPoint export. It's obviously not something that we've included in this beginners because it's just about getting started. But just to say that they are there. So lots of pre-made examples, but also lots in the templates folders, which are again those pre-made templates, but this time they're not filled in. So it allows you to fill them in yourself with whatever content that you want. So thanks very much again for listening. I hope you found this useful. Please do feel free to join us on one of our live webinars if at any time you want to find out more or ask any specific questions, or come through to the team at info@widget.com. Thank you.